Hello everyone and welcome to my channel and happy fall. Today I am going to be showing you one of my favorite fall crafts, and that is this adorable little pie garland. I just love these guys. I think they are so cute, and there's a couple different ways that you can kind of personalize them, do them differently, and I just really think it's adorable, and it's a super fun fall craft that you can do in an afternoon or an evening and then have this adorable little garland to hang. So I'm going to show you what you need and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, what are we going to need for this project? Well, to start off with, we want to start with some felt. So you're going to want a nice tannish brown felt for your pie crust background, and then whatever colors you want for your fillings of pie. I used this brown that's slightly darker than this one for a pecan pie, and then I used red for cherry pie, orange for pumpkin pie, and then blue for blueberry pie. So you're going to want those. It's helpful to have a little template as well, just a triangle, just a pie shape that you can use to start cutting these out with. I just used cardboard for mine, drew on it with a Sharpie and cut it out, but you can also use paper because you don't need this to be very sturdy, just to get you started. And then I also used some pipe cleaners. And for the pipe cleaners, you're gonna want a wire cutters or a pliers that has a wire cutters, because it's gonna be so much easier to cut them with that. Now I used these as little squiggles for little pecans in my pecan pie, but you could also use like the lighter one as like a pie crust element. Use it as a lattice crust, or use it as a decorative element along the top. So pipe cleaners are optional, but a nice little addition to have. And then also you want some little puffs, little pom-pom puffs. So you can use this as the whipped cream on top of your pumpkin pie. And then I also have these little blue ones that I got, these small blue ones that I used as blueberries for my blueberry pie. Now I didn't do that with the cherry pie, basically just because I wanted the cherry pie to look different from the blueberry pie. I wanted each of them to have kind of their own character, but you absolutely could do the same thing with red pom-poms for the cherry pie. You want to have a good pair of scissors. I have fabric scissors here. If you are using fabric scissors, you just want to be mindful to not use these to cut anything else. Don't use them to cut these or your cardboard or anything like that, because we want to keep these nice and sharp for the fabric. And then I also have some twine here. So that's what we're going to be making the actual garland portion with. And you can use twine if you want to, like I did, or use ribbon, or whatever works with your personal aesthetic will work here. And then, of course, lastly, we want to have some glue sticks and a hot glue gun so that we can attach everything. So that should be everything that we need to get started. So let's go ahead and get into it.
So the first thing that we want to do is cut out all of our filling pieces using our template. So just go ahead and cut those out, and then after you've cut them with the template, just take another little look at them because you might have like some uneven edges or just some places that got a little bit weird, and you can just kind of trim those off. And then after you've got all of your fillings cut out, we want to take those filling pieces and cut out our pie crust with those. So we're going to use our filling piece as our template, and you're going to do this with each and every filling piece. And the reason for this is each of the pieces could be a little bit slightly different. And if you use them to cut out the pie crust layer is going to be just a little bit bigger. You can see where you can kind of see the edges, and we want that so that it looks like a real pie crust. And then you're just going to go ahead and take some hot glue and just glue in the edges and of course the middle there, and just go ahead and put the filling piece onto your pie crust piece and just tamp it down, make sure that it's really secured on there very nicely. Super, super easy. Now for my pumpkin pie piece, I am going to be cutting out 3 white circles out of a white piece of felt. This is my preferred method for making a little whipped cream dollop on there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my first circle here, put a dot of glue in the middle, and then I'm just going to fold this up like a taco. I'm just going to fold it and make sure that that glue attaches there, and do the same thing with all 3 of the circles. And after that is done, we're going to fold the first circle over again, put a dot of glue on it, and connect it to our second circle, and then connect our last circle in here. So each one is going to be slightly folded in against each other. So you should have kind of like a tricorn hat, if you will, of little felt pieces. And then you can just kind of arrange the felt. You can kind of pull it out a little bit to make it look exactly how you want. And then you're just going to put some hot glue on the very bottom seams there and go ahead and press that down onto your pumpkin pie slice. And you can continue to kind of zhuzh the felt pieces a little bit until it looks exactly the way that you want your little whipped cream dollop to look. Now, an alternative to that would be just using a white pom-pom, and you can put that on there. The white pom-pom, it's definitely going to look more uniform, but I really do like the character that the white felt brings to it. Now moving on to our pecan pie. So this is where we're using our pipe cleaners as pecans. And I did 2 different lengths of this. So I did one that's about a 2-inch piece that I folded in half, just like a little V. And then I also did one that was more of a 3-inch piece that I folded into 3 pieces, 3 edges. I don't know how to say that right. But so basically our first one is like a V shape, and the one that I cut into more of a 3-inch size, that's more of like a Z shape. And this is just to give us some variance between what it looks like. You can go with either one or both of them, or if you're a little bit more arts and craftsy, maybe you can kind of fold it into something that looks a little bit more like a pecan than just what I did here. So I just like to go ahead and get my pieces cut first and kind of lay them out and figure out how I like it configured on the piece, and then go ahead and start gluing it with the hot glue. Now, the pipe cleaners, the hot glue definitely comes through that pretty quickly if you're just pressing it down with your fingers. So I like to use my needle nose pliers for this to just kind of use it instead of my fingers. I really don't like to get burnt with hot glue. For our blueberry piece here, again, just kind of lay them out, figure out how you like them configured for your little blue pom-poms here. And then once you've got it where you like it, just go ahead and pick them up one by one and just dab them down with a little dot of glue. And you can go with lines, you can do whatever you want to do with those little blue pom-poms. Now, probably the most difficult piece is the cherry because I opted to go with a lattice pie effect on this. Now, the first time I did these, I used felt pieces, but just for some variance, I decided to use the pipe cleaner this time. So I just kind of went through and laid out my first layer of quote unquote lattice, and then went ahead and hot glued those down, and then came in with my second layer of lattice pie crust here and just laid those down until I had a beautiful little piece of cherry lattice topped pie. And now we're going to start making some pie crust toppings. So I took my piece of tan felt and just started cutting long strips of the crust, more or less. I cut a few of these, and I like to do different crust techniques. So I also did cut one of the shorter side of my felt, and I did this one. I know it's hard to see from the angle that I had here, but I really just did it kind of scalloped. So just, moving your scissors in and out, up and down, kind of rounded scallop edge. So we're going to use that for one of our pie crust pieces here, as you will see in a moment. See? Beautiful. And so to get started, the first thing you want to do here is go ahead and attach your twine to your pie crust. Now, I didn't do a full garland length for these. I just did individual sizes just so I could show you how to do it. So go ahead and attach your twine, and then at the very corner here, we want to put down 1 dollop of glue. Now, this one we're going to do kind of a ridged pie crust effect. So we're going to leave a little space and then put another dollop of glue. And then we're going to just kind of hump up that little pie crust piece and keep repeating this through the end. You'll probably end up with about 4 dollops of glue across, and you just want to make sure that you do glue the end pieces so that they stay. And it is perfectly fine if the piece of felt that you cut for your crust is a little bit too long. You can just go in with your scissors and trim that up to be the correct size. And now for our cherry pie crust. This one we're going to do something a little special with. So took a short piece of felt again here, and I cut this into 3 thick pieces. And basically what I want to get here is almost like a rigatoni noodle. So we want to just kind of wrap this around into a little round section, and we're just going to go ahead and line a little line of glue that to itself so that it's a nice little tube, little hollow tube, just like a pasta noodle. And then we're just going to put some glue down here on our pie, and we're going to just mush that down there. It'll take about 3 pieces of this for one little piece of pie, and it'll just give us a really nice little effect there. And of course, you could make these shorter or longer if you wanted to. I guess if you wanted to do just one piece, you could absolutely do that too. But it just gives a nice little effect to our cherry pie. And for our blueberry pie, I did a twisted crust. So I like to twist my piece before I actually glue it down so I can kind of like get a feel for what I want it to look like. But just like with the pumpkin pie, you're going to start with one little dab of glue on the one side of the pie piece and twist your little felt piece a little bit and then tamp it down. And then go ahead and twist it the way that you want it. So you might want it a little bit tighter or you might want it a little bit looser. Just kind of play with it, see where you like it. And then once you get it to the right kind of twist that you want, go ahead and put another glue dot on the opposite corner and glue that down. And then you can go back in and you can glue down the middle of it if you want. But just so that way it'll maintain the twist if you do the ends first. And then for our last one here, we're going to use our little scalloped crust for the pecan pie. So again, just like all the other ones, we're going to go ahead and put our twine down first. And then I laid out my scallop crust piece on there to see where I liked it. And then just go ahead and put a line of glue there and trim off the excess edges. And these are our lovely pie garlands. I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye-bye.